If you ever thought that wood beams would be too heavy for you to add to your ceiling or to work on yourself, I'm here to tell you that there's a trick that will make your day. The first thing I did was to determine where I wanted my wood beams to go. I centered my beams along this wall and marked the location with some painter's tape. After that, I wanted to mark a line across the ceiling to help guide me as to where the wood beam would go. I did this using a chalk line. I realized also that the crown molding needed to be cut out in order to allow the wood beams to fit into place. So I cut those out using a multi-tool, which is a handy little tool I've used in a lot of DIY projects. Once the crown molding was out of the way, I was ready for the exciting part of creating the beam. Here's where the trick comes into play. Rather than installing one heavy, solid wood beam, we created a hollow faux wood beam. There are a few ways you could do this, but what we did was to use 1x3s as our side pieces and a 1x4 for our bottom-facing piece. The reason I used 1x3s for the side pieces is because I didn't want the wood beam to hang too low into this small room. Now we need to attach this to the ceiling somehow. You'll look for ceiling joists or trusses, some way for you to attach to the ceiling itself with some supports. If you don't have wood to attach to above your ceiling, you may want to consider using toggle bolts. We cut 2x4s to the width of our U-shaped faux beam. We then attached a few of those along our guideline. Then, with each of us standing on a stepladder, we lifted our faux beam up into place. Then it was just a matter of securing these with our nail gun. We used a brad nailer because this utilizes longer nails. That's important because we're going through the 1x4 side pieces all the way to the 2x4 centerpiece that we had mounted to the ceiling. So we used nails that were 1.5 inches in length to be sure that we got through everything that we wanted to. Our wood was 8 feet in length, but the room was almost 16 feet across, so we actually had to join 2 sets of beams together. I added some wood putty at the seam and then sanded it down to blend the seam as best as possible. Once those went up, the room already looked transformed, but in order to finish it off, I also added a stain to the wood. You might wonder why I didn't stain the wood before I put it up on the ceiling. The reason is because I needed to join these 2 faux wood beam pieces together, and I was afraid that if I stained them before putting them up, then I might have variations in the 2 different beam pieces. This way, I was staining it in place so that I knew that I was applying the stain in a uniform motion across both of the beams that joined in the center of the room. In order to apply the stain with the wood beams in place, I simply added some painter's tape to protect the ceiling. I applied the wood stain using a lamb's wool pad rather than a paintbrush because I like that I can apply different amounts of pressure depending on whether or not I want the wood darker or lighter in that particular spot. I think that they add a great element to our room. I hope that this inspires you to add some faux wood beams where you otherwise thought you couldn't have before.
I grabbed a roll of receipt paper. I started with a scrap cedar board 1x6 and I sanded it with 150 grit sandpaper. Then I grabbed a scrap piece of metal and I used side cutters to trim it just a little bit shorter than the width of the board, and then I spray painted it black and let it dry. I trimmed it to a similar length as the wood dowel. The next scrap thing was leather. I cut 2 small pieces, I folded them over, and I found some springs in my junk drawer, and I placed them underneath of the leather and I screwed that down. Lastly, I pre-drilled holes into the metal piece and then I screwed them to the bottom of the board. And now I have the perfect note board to leave all kinds of helpful messages, to-do lists, and reminders, like the one I just added. I hope this inspires you to get creative with scrap materials.
So I have a 6-foot piece of 1x2 here, and we're just going to begin by trimming this down. So we want to cut this down to a 2-foot piece.
So I'm just going to make my mark here at the 2-foot line, and then I'm going to use a miter saw to cut my 1x2.
After we've cut our first piece, we are going to use this piece as a guide to cut our remaining pieces. You want to make sure that you use the same piece as a guide every time so that your pieces are exactly cut the same size. I'm just going to lay that on my wood, and then I'm going to mark it off here.
With my second piece marked, I am now going to use my miter saw again to cut my piece of wood. We are going to continue cutting our 1x2s until we have 10, but I am going to make a mark on my guide piece so that the more pieces of wood I cut, I don't lose my guide piece. So I'm going to continue marking and cutting until I have 10 pieces of 2-foot 1x2. With my 10 pieces all laid out here, I'm going to take them now and we are going to drill holes for our rope. So I'm going to flip all the pieces up onto their skinny side, and then using my tape measure, I'm going to mark out where I'm going to put my holes. I want them to be perfectly straight.
I'm going to measure 2 inches in from the end of my piece of wood, and I'm going to make a mark. This mark is where I'm going to drill my hole. And I'm going to repeat that at the other end of the wood as well. 2 inches in from the end of my 1x2 and making my mark.
I'm going to continue making the 2-inch marks all the way down both sides of the 1x2s on each side. So this side and the left side as well. Once I have that done, I'm going to use a 3/8 spade bit to drill my holes. So I'm going to work over the edge of my table and drilling down nice and straight. I'm going to go right through the 1x2. Once I've gone right through the 1x2 and made sure that the hole is completely through my piece of wood, I'm going to repeat the process with all the remaining 1x2s. Once all my holes are drilled, I'm going to take a piece of 80 grit sandpaper and I'm just going to give a light sanding to remove any of the rough edges where the spade bit went through. Then I'm going to use this Minwax wood finish in the shade Weather Gray to stain all surfaces of my 1x2s. So I want to make sure I stain the underside as well as the flat, thick sides, and I don't want to forget the ends as well. All surfaces of the wood needs to be stained. Once I'm done staining and I've let that dry, I'm going to take this curb appeal paint from DecoArt that's meant for outdoors, and I'm going to stencil on a design. So I have this granada tile here from Cutting Edge Stencils, and I'm just going to take a foam pouncer, put on some paint, and then dab some of it off before I go continuing on to my stencil here. I'm going to start my stencil directly in the middle of my wood mat, and you will notice that I've kept all the boards completely together, making sure that they're together nice and tight. I'm going to use the guide marks on my stencils to continue stenciling, working on either side of the first tile that I stenciled, and then working up and down to complete the entire pieces of wood. Then I'm going to take this twine and I'm going to work it through on my first piece of 1x2, tying it in a double knot, and then pulling it nice and tight, and then pulling it right up against my piece of 1x2. Then I'm going to cut off a bunch of twine and I'm going to do double knots in between each piece of 1x2, and then threading the twine through my next piece of 1x2. I'm going to continue doing this until I have reached the very last 1x2, making sure that my knots are exactly the same size so that my doormat is nice and even. I'm going to continue, and then I'm going to, on my very last knot, double knot it and then cut it off. When my mat is done on both sides, I'm going to spray it with a layer of Scotchgard Weather Shield, and our doormat is complete. I can place my doormat outside on my porch or anywhere in my home really where I want to. This is just a neat way to do a wooden doormat, and really you can get creative with this DIY and use whatever kind of stencil you like, or do whatever design you want to paint on your wooden doormat, or just leave it stained and simple. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. Thanks so much for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.